Hi, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Bowman's Friends. I'm Courtney.
And my name is Sylvia.
And today we are going to be talking about the Transformative Learning Center here on campus. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and your position.
Sure. My name is Rachel Poufal, and I am the Assistant Director of Peer Tutoring with Transformative Learning.
Perfect. So we're just going to go ahead and jump in. So can you tell us, for listeners who might not be familiar, how would you describe the Transformative Learning and its role within the University of Kentucky's Office for Student Success?
Sure. So Transformative Learning is the centralized learning center across campus. And what that means is that we're kind of here to support UK students throughout their time at UK, mostly around academics. So that's kind of the area that we focus in, but anything that's kind of related to academics is things that we do and support with Transformative Learning, kind of at any stage. And we have several different services that we have that are housed within us. So you heard that I'm the Assistant Director of Peer Tutoring. So we have peer tutoring, we have supplemental instruction, we have integrated success coaching, and peer accountability communities, I think, are kind of the four areas or the four things that we focus our time in. And then within that, there's lots of other like little pieces that kind of fit into that. And I'm sure we'll get into that more in depth probably. So that's a little bit about Transformative Learning and some of our services.
Awesome. Well, on the website, Transformative Learning is described as a one-stop shop for academic support. So what does that mean in practice for students? If you can talk a little bit more about those different services that you said that you offered.
Absolutely. So when we talk about it being kind of a one-stop shop, the reason that we say that, I would say, is because you can come to any of our three locations. So we're located at the Study North, it's not the Study anymore, Transformative Learning North, and that is in Jewel Hall. It's the basement of Jewel Hall. Folks often aren't sure where that is located, but if you know where the Student Center is, and you look across the street from Starbucks, that side of Jewel Hall, there is a basement that you can't get to unless you go into Transformative Learning North. So it's across from the Student Center, and you just sort of like walk into.
There's I think there's stuff on the walls too, right? That kind of points it out, and makes it
I think it says
like
the study on it and things like that. But because it's kind of under that like eave of the building, people are like they don't know where we are.
It's by the bus stop.
Yes, it's by the bus stop. Yes, and I often want to get one of those like floaty hand wavy guys to put in front of there to maybe help people, but I keep getting told no. So there's that location, and we have peer tutoring that happens there. Supplemental instruction happen. I think all of our services happen in all of our locations. So there's Transformative Learning North, that's the basement of Jewel Hall. There's Transformative Learning Central, and that's in the Hillary J. Boone Center. So that's across from the Chem Phys building. It's like this very fancy looking building that you can learn in and have peer tutoring in, supplemental instruction in. I think group coaching happens a lot in there, which is part of integrated success coaching. And then our third space is here in the basement of Willie T, Presentation U. And so there we have peer tutoring that's specific to like writing and speaking assignments, and then there is some coaching that happens in there too. So across all three centers, you could come in and talk with a front desk person or another employee of Transformative Learning to kind of find out like, here are the services we offer and what are your needs? Like, where are you struggling academically? And out of the things that we offer, peer tutoring, supplemental instruction, integrated success coaching, which of those services or a combination of those services is going to be the best help for you to find success academically here at UK?
Awesome, yeah. And what is supplemental tutoring?
Supplemental instruction?
Instruction, sorry.
Yep.
What was that?
I can try because it's not my focus area.
Okay.
That's Kat Little is the Assistant Director for Supplemental Instruction. But the way that I understand supplemental instruction is we have what we call SI leads, and SI stands for Supplemental Instruction. And so they are students that attend, so they go to the lecture It's typically in 100 and 200 level courses that are high enrollment and oftentimes high, like students really struggle with them. So a lot, it's, some chem classes, bio classes, it's all on the website. I couldn't tell you all the courses that we serve right now. But our SI leaders are in the class with students, so they hear the lecture, and then they have, I believe, weekly sessions, so like about an hour, and then they create ways of learning to kind of relearn or better understand the content that happened in that lecture. So I don't want to say they're necessarily reteaching, but they're doing things to help students better understand whatever the content was in the lecture. They're working very closely with the professor so that whatever they're doing is the professor is like saying, yep, I'm good with that. That's a great way to teach it. But then they also the SI leader learns different like facilitation strategies and learning strategies that they use in these. So they're group sessions, but they are drop-in, they're free, and they happen, like I said, I think they happen once a week, but then our SI leaders also do like an office hour where they can answer questions, and they might have one hour. I think maybe they do like an online something as well, if it's an online office hour or an online session. So that's what supplemental instruction is, where it's very specific, like very much like specific to a course.
That is so cool. That definitely would help me my freshman year.
Yeah, no, same. And I know a lot of people like struggle with like chemistry, for example, like kind of how you said, and to have a free resource like that on campus is helpful, especially for, maybe freshmen who are still trying to get used to college, which kind of leads into like our next question. So a lot of students struggle with time management and study skills. So can you tell us a little bit about how transformative learning helps students build their skills or manage these skills?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say there's several different entry points that a student can use to build those skills. The first thing that kind of comes to mind is that's probably the most comfortable for a student would be working with an integrated success coach. So having that one-to-one opportunity to talk through that with a coach, make a plan, what are some things that I want to do to manage my time, build my study skills, things like that. And so that's oftentimes the one that feels the most comfortable that seems to be the most comfortable to students. However, I would say all of the services that we offer then allow them to practice those skills that they may have like created in that plan with their coach. So like coming to peer tutoring. So peer tutoring is a little bit different from supplemental instruction in that it's drop-in. So we have peer tutors for all of the 100 and 200 level math, science, and business courses. And again, they're like the ones that are high enrollment and then also the ones that students struggle with the most. And so in that you can come and have any different kind of question, and you kind of come and work with the peer tutor to kind of work on an assignment or work on something that you're questioning. And so that's a little bit different than supplemental instruction, where like supplemental instruction, it's like a directed, guided experience. Peer tutoring, it's like you're going to come in and kind of you're going to have something that you want to work on. But if you've built in like, okay, when I've worked with my coach, we've talked about like, I need to have set aside times that I'm going to study or I'm going to work on homework. So that's when you could utilize peer tutoring or supplemental instruction and build that into your study plan of like, okay, Monday and Wednesday, I know that there's a general chemistry tutor. I'm going to go in my schedule I've looked at in time management, 3 to 6 is really going to be my homework time. So I'm going to go to work with a peer tutor for Gen Chem, maybe from like 3 to 4, and then I know that there's a supplemental instruction session on Wednesdays for my bio class. And so I know that it's at the study, or it's at, Transformative Learning Central, and then my SI session is there, so then I'm going to go to that. And so that's where you've talked to your coach and you've talked about, okay, I want to make a study plan. My study plan is going to have set times when I want to work on homework or I want to work on studying. And now I can build that into my plan by going to peer tutoring and going to supplemental instruction to do that. And then I haven't talked a ton about peer accountability communities. We call them PACs. And so PACs are even less directed. So, like peer tutoring, those tutors are very specific to a course. Supplemental instruction, very specific to a course. PACs are more specific to, okay, I know that I need to set aside this, I've created in my study plan and my time management to set aside this time to do my homework, but I need an accountability buddy or something. And that's what a PAC can be. So it's like, okay, on Thursdays, I'm going to work with my PAC or I have a PAC meeting from 4 to 5, and that's what my Thursday, like that's my study session for my Thursday. And like a PAC leader is there, and they've got some like, here's an activity that you can do to build something, something within maybe it's a time management. What else were we talking about in that? Like time management, study skills, different things like that. So there's usually like something that they practice to start the session. And then the rest of the time is built for them to just be like doing something that the students identified they need to work on. But now they've got these people around them that are kind of their like accountability.
Like holding them accountable.
Right. Like, okay, we're all working on this. We're going to spend our time to actually work on studying on this. And so that's kind of how how I see like transformative learning providing multiple opportunities for students to kind of build those skills and practice those skills.
My freshman year actually did integrated success coaching, and I went to some PACs, and it was really nice. I needed to work on time management skills. So I did a lot of time blocking, and I would go to PACs because like we would just sit and quiet, but like I need to have another person there while I do homework. So it was really nice.
Sorry.
Bless you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yep. Yeah. So that's in my mind how I kind of like think about how a student could utilize all of our services at different times to meet different needs with time management and study skills.
Yeah, I think that was a great explanation of kind of, showing how all of your services kind of, hand in hand help each other too. So, oops, I just hit the mic. So kind of speaking of that, do you have a success story or an example of a student who really benefited from those services?
Yes. So this is one of my favorite stories, like one of my favorite TL stories so far. I've only worked with TL since, when did I start? September of 2024? Is that when I started? I don't remember for sure. So I've not been here a huge long time. But I supervised the tutoring floor. I don't remember what day of the week it was. And one of our tutors, he had this kind of like crew that would come see him at that same time, like every week. And it was like 4 or 5 folks. I think it was like a calculus, like maybe Calc 4 or Calc 3 or something. And so they would come, the same group would come from like 2 to, I'm not sure when, because I probably left at 4 or whatever. And they just had like, they would always have so much fun doing calculus. And I was like, I would comment, I was like, you two are having way more fun than I think anybody who is taking Math 213 should ever have. Yeah. But it was like just this really great like energy, and they were having fun and they were learning. And at the end of the semester, we had been having some conversation around like why they had to check in and like how and what. So all of our tutors are, which students aren't going to care about, but they're all certified. They all get certified with the College Reading and Learning Association. And so they have to do like a certain amount of training, and they have to do a certain amount of hours of tutoring. And so we have to keep track of that. And so we'd had some conversation about that. And at the end of that semester, one of the 2Ts that had been coming in made like a little certificate and put it in I think she bought a frame for the tutor and then so that he could put his like CRLA certificate in there. So do I know if those students like passed their class? No, but I do think they had a lot of fun participating in tutoring, learning together, that type of a thing. So that's one of my favorite stories so far.
Well, it also like helps when, I've mentioned this on the podcast multiple times, like being further in my major and like being in classes that are more like, niche and like specific to it, make it more fun. So when you have an experience like that makes the class more fun, ultimately you probably are learning more than you would have if you even weren't in the study group. So no, that's a really nice story. That was interesting. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's see. So, Sylvia, do you want to ask the next question?
Yeah. So, how do you ensure that support is personalized and meets like students where they are, as your mission describes?
Yeah. Again, it kind of depends on the different service, but because that's our mission, it's an overarching thing, and so we build that into all of the different things that we do. So when I kind of looked at this, when I thought about this, I thought about the different things in the way that people are trained. And so our peer tutors are trained to, whenever a tutee kind of joins them at their tutor table, to kind of access and assess, like, what do you know now and what do you want to know? And they sort of they guide the questioning and the way that they do their tutoring to meet the needs of the students that are showing up. So they're getting to know kind of as each person joins that tutor table, because that's the one thing about peer tutoring is it's not one-to-one. It is, it's group, and so that's sometimes hard for students. However, it is going to be a personalized experience because that peer tutor is working hard to know where you're at, and then how am I going to ask questions, or how am I going to design kind of with the people at my table to have it be the best experience for you. So that's how I think about it with peer tutoring. With supplemental instruction, it's really helpful that those SI leaders are with students for the whole semester, so they're getting to know them, when they're coming into class, when students are coming to their supplemental instruction sessions, and then they're uniquely trained in different learning, tasks or learning things that they can be building sessions based on. Okay, I know these are the students that come. I know these are their strengths. I know these are their growth areas. I'm going to integrate these into my session each week because I think that's going to meet the need of the different people that are showing up. PACs, I would say, they're very much designed of where is it that you want to go today and get accomplished, and so that is very much okay, meeting the needs of each person that's showing up, and then how are you going to get there, and kind of asking questions about that. And integrated success coaching is, that's an individual session. So those people those coaches are trained to ask questions to get people thinking deeper about what's going to be the best for them.
Yeah, and to go back to what you were saying about the peer-to-peer support, especially in, group studies and group tutoring. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about why that's powerful in your academic success?
Like working with peers?
Yes.
Yeah. There's so many reasons. The biggest things that I think about, and the things that kind of keep coming, would come out of different surveys that we give students, is that ability to see that you're not alone. You're not the only one. Many other people are experiencing similar feelings of confusion or lack of confidence and
struggle.
Things yep. And so I think that is huge, to be able to I can't think of the right word. It's universalizing, universalizes the experience a little bit of oh, okay, I'm not stupid, I'm not whatever, because you're not. This is new stuff. This is stuff maybe you haven't learned, or even if you did learn it in high school, it's a struggle, it's different. And so that you get to start to see other people that are experiencing something similar. And also people that maybe aren't experiencing something similar, but you can make connections with, and then build on that, hey, I really liked studying with you here, would you want to study somewhere else together, or something like that. So it's really cool to see the relationships that also form, and the people that become then study buddies outside of utilizing our services, and learn together. So I think that, to me, those are kind of the biggest benefits to peer learning, amongst the peers, and then also with peers being the tutor or the SI leads. I just think there's a comfort level being with someone that's similar in age, had maybe is a little beyond the experience you had because they've already taken the course or something, but just that doing that with a person that's of similar age and similar experience, as opposed to a TA or a professor. I just think there's a comfort level working with peers that maybe people don't always experience working with TAs or professors.
Yeah, totally. That kind of answers our next question too. But let's see. What is one academic habit that you wish every student would adopt early in their college journey?
Ooh, it's hard to pick just one. One that is not necessarily transformative learning that we address, but sleep. Sleep is so important.
So important.
And determining what your sleep need is, because I think like I discovered pretty early on in my college career that like I need to go to bed at 10 p.m. and nobody else around me is going to go to bed at 10 p.m. in the dorms. So I very much had to like, I'm just going to get like my roommate and I would just go to bed and got really good at going to bed with the lights on, and she would still be living her best life. But I needed that, like, I need to go to bed at 10 and wake up fairly early. I'm an early riser. And like had to accept that. Like, I realized that's not the college student life, but that had to be Rachel's college student life, and being okay with that. Or if you're like, my husband is like definitely on a different circadian rhythm, and so he is a night owl. And for some people, that's great. My mom is a night owl as well, and she became, she's a nurse and worked nights. So she made her sleep schedule and her job kind of work together in a lot of ways. And so like, if you find that about yourself as a student, like, cool. Like, if you really like want to stay up till 1 a.m., do that. But then you need to know that you need to give yourself that 8 hours of sleep. And so how can you do that? Can you sleep till, what would that be, 9 a.m., and make your classes and stuff work? If you can make a schedule like that, cool. If you can't, you need to adjust where your bedtime goes and get your 8 hours of sleep. So that's one. The next, the one that like maybe is more actually something transformative learning could do something about is calendar your time, however that works best for you. Like, some people, it is a paper calendar or a paper planner.
Yep.
Awesome. Use it.
That's me.
Some people, it is a whiteboard that is a calendar, and you can do like a whiteboard and have that in front of you, or like a whatever. But calendar your time. And I would argue calendar your time by the hour or the half hour. And again, that may seem like crazy to a college student, but like, that's how you figure out like, where are your pockets of time to study and do homework and exercise and eat and do all the things that you have to do, because that is a big transition from being in high school and having people tell you, like your parents or your caregivers or the adults that are around you help you make that schedule, to no one's going to do that for you when you come to college. Well, you have to figure it out for yourself. Like
in high school too, it's like you're there from 8 a.m. till 2 p.m. Like, you don't get flexibility in that. Like, now you could have a class from 9 to 10 and you're not going back to class till 2 o'clock.
Right.
So now you have all that time.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I do a lot of videos on here, like day in the life or like let's chat about videos. And I swear in every single one, I'm like, you need to get a planner. Like, I need to write down, I need a to-do list for the day on my computer, and I need a planner telling me like my big assignments or like to-dos for the week.
I've started with I have a physical planner where I write like what I assume I'm gonna do for the week, and I look at it like almost every day and edit stuff. But like on my like phone one, I have alerts like 30 minutes before something's supposed to happen. Yep. And because I'm more inclined to look at my phone throughout the day to be like, okay, 30 minutes before I have to go to this class, 30 minutes before I have like this meeting. So helpful.
Yep. And I love, like, you just gave 2 different examples, and that's super important too, of like what works best for you, because you're an integrated success coach that's going to tell you one thing, you're going to have a friend tell you another, and that's awesome. But then you have to put those things into practice and then see the system that works best for you. Yeah. So taking the time to figure that out.
Yeah, and mine's definitely changed over the years too, because I remember like freshman year, I was making like a Google sheet. Like, you saw it on TikTok a lot of like all the assignments that you had to do, and it was like color code and everything. And it was fun and it was great and it worked then, but it doesn't work for me now. So
I used to be so jealous of people who could do that, because I'd be like, that takes a lot of time to like put them all in there.
Yeah. I was really wasting my time doing that, but I mean, it worked, I guess. But like, I really didn't need to be doing all that.
And it led you to making a different, like, now having a system that works even better.
Now I have color-coded pens and a planner.
Yes,
so I guess maybe it's, I don't know, who knows. Anyways, so our last question is, how can alumni, faculty, or community members support the mission of transformative learning?
Yeah, talk about us. Let students know. Every chance I get, like when I'm out, even like, and I live in Berea and commute here. But like I just had this experience where I was like at a doctor's appointment, and she mentioned that her child goes to UK. And I was like, oh, have they tried out the study or transformative learning or peer tutoring? She's like, no, but I've told them they should. They really struggled in chem. I think it was probably Chem 105 or something like that.
Yeah.
And so like any chance I get, I'm in the community, like, especially like when they talk, if they have like children that go, or like family friends or whatever that go to UK, it's like transformative learning is a really great place for them to get academic support if they're struggling. So I mean, that would be my big thing to like any of those like outside stakeholders, is like talk about it. So faculty, talk about it in your classes, talk about it in anytime you're interacting with students. If a student mentions that they're struggling in some class, mention transformative learning, because even if it isn't a course that we support like in peer tutoring or supplemental instruction, integrated success coaching is going to be a great place to start, and then potentially moving into one of those other things. Who are the other people? Did you say students, faculty,
and alumni?
And alumni. Yeah, I mean, alumni, to me, it would be like if you came to transformative learning, if you utilize transformative learning, and peer tutoring and the study they had their 20th anniversary 2 years ago. So like the study started because there was not a peer tutoring option on campus in the early 2000s. So in 2004, a group of students approached the university and were like, we need this resource. Like, we need this peer learning and this peer tutoring as a way to be successful academically. And so it's just grown and expanded and things like that. And so like if you're an alumni that utilized the service, talk about it to future Wildcats. Let them know like this service exists. Like, don't be afraid. I think that's the biggest thing, is like we don't see students utilize the services the way we wish they would, because I think there's like a level of fear or a level of, I don't want to look stupid in front of a group or whatever it is. And I get that. I totally get that. And like I challenge students to like step outside your comfort zone, get some courage, because I would much rather see you feel uncomfortable in our space and then pass your class than not pass your class and have to either retake it or be on probation or suspension or something like that. Yeah. So yeah, so to all those outside people, like talk about transformative learning. Yeah. Let students know that it exists.
100%. And it's free.
It's free.
And it's important to get uncomfortable in college. Put yourself in uncomfortable, okay. To an extent. Yeah. Put yourself in a position to try something new and try something like transformative learning, because it's made an impact, it's making an impact, and that's what we're here to talk about today. Yeah. But yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else that we didn't cover that you want to add or throw in before we end?
A question to you both, like, you utilize integrated success coaching. I don't know if you utilized transformative learning for anything, but like ideas that students have or ideas that you have, like what might be missing, or what are we doing that's making it hard for students to access our services?
I feel like you said it's like mainly just for like like the first one-on-one classes, stuff like that, but there's not really like an engineering 101 type thing, stuff like that. Like when I was engineering, I'm not anymore. When I was like, I heard about the tutor, I'm like, oh, okay, like I can go there. And like there wasn't an option for that, because it's like, it was mainly just like the basic like chem, math, which was needed, but still like maybe something for like easier like 101 or like 102, because that's still like a 101 class, and there's a lot of engineers, so something like that maybe.
So like expand kind of the offerings that we might have to like different courses. Okay. Yep.
I think also, I think for me it was more of just like I didn't really know about it. Yeah. I didn't know, and I think doing things like going on this podcast and like us talking about it on social media and stuff, it's a great way for students who are scrolling to see it, but also like, what if you reached out to professors of these really common classes that you're doing these sessions for, and have them put it on like their main Canvas page, like, hey, if you're struggling, check this out, here's the direct link, because people want to click and go. They don't want to have to try and find it. So I think maybe that could help.
Yeah. Those are great. Yeah. I mean, I always want student input, because it's like there's a lot of us that are doing the work that are not students, and we have a great staff of students that give us lots of really good input and feedback and things that we use and try. But I would love even more that, like, because I think that's a big one is students just don't know about us, and that they're not gonna utilize the service if they don't know it exists.
Get a sign and get that blow up there. You need it. See, she needs it.
I only knew about it is because it used to be in Pigman Hall.
Yeah.
And my freshman year, last year, oh my gosh, it was like, it was downstairs. So like if you were struggling about calc, you were like, oh my gosh, and you go downstairs, someone will help you.
Yep.
Not anymore.
Yeah, the Study South is no longer in existence. Yeah. Okay, good feedback.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, thank you again for joining us.
Absolutely.
And thank you guys for watching, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.